Hey everyone, welcome to Redmen TV. It is the Uncensored match build-up show. Liverpool taking on Burnley Amsley Hall with Chris Pajak and two very special guests today. We've got David and Julian. Nice one for coming in, gents. First time on the show. You know you've been involved with Redmen for a long time now, so you're excited? You're good? Are we feeling good?
Yeah,
good one.
Sure.
There we go.
So David and Julian are two of our club legends who got in touch, and David's come over from California. It is California?
Yeah, California.
To come over, and Julian's obviously travelled to come with him today. We're looking forward to it. So it's not often we get to see club legends and get them in the studio and stuff. So yeah, thanks very much for coming, James.
Nice one, James.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Look forward to it. You've seen the show, you've heard it plenty enough. It's not going to be too different than usual. Hopefully you know more about Burnley than me. Because
they do.
Yeah, we are going to build up to the game, of course. Part 1, we'll have a little look at Burnley. Part 2, we'll be just talking about Liverpool team, new selection, dilemmas, all that kind of stuff. Thank you, everyone who has downloaded that app so far. You two downloaded it?
Yeah,
Get it. Take it. Well, nice one. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone who has the feedback. Been great. Go and do it now. Search Redmen Plus in your app stores. It's completely free to download. You get all of our free content, such as this show. But if you want extra content or these shows ad-free, because I'm sure everyone who's watching on YouTube or listening to a podcast now has just had to skip a few adverts. If you get fed up doing that, yeah, if you subscribe on Redmen Plus, you get all these shows ad-free, which is, I think it's worth. How many times you have to press that skip button in your life? It's worth spending a couple of quid just not to do it. Would you agree, Chris?
Absolutely.
I think it's absolutely. And the lads will testify that one as well. Right then, Burnley. Let's talk about them. Chris, I'll start with you. They're on a really poor run. I think Burnley are in the league table where everyone probably expected Burnley to be. It's obviously Leeds and Sunderland have kind of booked the trend of teams coming up and going straight back down. That became a little bit of a thing. They're those two. Certainly Sunderland aren't going to go relegated. You'd be shocked now if Leeds do as well. But Burnley are kind of in that one. They're in a bit of a mire. What they have shown is maybe an ability to make things tough on certain teams with like a bit of a low block and stuff, but they just haven't been getting results. And yeah, Scott Parker's team are, I think it's like 8 points off safety, and yeah, they're in a bit of a tricky situation. Right?
Yeah, obviously they've scored, I think it's 13 points, haven't they, so far out of the 21 games. We are not in a fantastic run of form, but we've scored 12 in our last 6 games with the 3 wins and the 3 draws. So it sort of tells you the gulf between the two sides. And, you know, Scott Parker, we've had real good success for the most part against Scott Parker's sides, but he's also managed to frustrate us at times. So he'll be looking to do the latter again. And, you know, I think Liverpool have shown that if a team parks up with a low block, we have found it difficult at times to break them down. So I'm sure the message from Arne Slot and the manager moving into this one is just make sure that you don't give anything stupid away, and you will break them down eventually, but they will not be overlooking Burnley because they can't afford to at this stage.
It's interesting, Dave, as well, because it's almost the league, the relegation zone, the gap is so big. So West Ham on 14 points and 18th, and then Nottingham Forest on 21 points. A 7-point gap already. It's 8 points for Burnley. That's already nearly do or die time for Burnley. If they don't start picking up points in the next 2 or 3 weeks, they could be gone already. So sometimes I always think teams come to Anfield thinking, well, if we lose, it's not the end of the world. You know, if we don't get battered, but actually they're desperate for points. Yeah. And I do wonder if that maybe changes their philosophy a little bit. Like we've associated Burnley with being trying to be tough to beat, trying to grab a point here and there, but at some point they're going to have to try and beat somebody, and you might have their eyes on us.
Yeah, I mean, to get the 1 win against Wolves was probably a big boost for them, you know, morale-wise. I think the troubling part for them right now is they're probably seeing Wolves start to prepare to sell players off, you know, preparing for life in the Championship now going forward. And I would imagine Burnley has a few young players. They have 2 young center backs in particular. One's in England under 21, actually. And then this French kid, and I could see people starting to wonder what assets we are, what Burnley would want to do with us in the future. You know, do we have a future in the Championship, or do we have, you know, do we want to stay up and continue to play, you know, football at this level? So I have a sense there's going to be some desperation in the team. Same with Jadon Anthony up top, right? I think there's some players there that really think they're Premier League players and want to stay in the Premier League. So there's going to be a desperation, and when you combine that with kind of Scott Parker's, he's under a lot of pressure at Burnley. You know, I know Burnley fans are very much sort of like, we thought we would do better than this. And so he's facing a lot of pressure at this point. And I think that, you know, all of that with the low block and some of the complications we've had, you know, with that this season, I think you could be looking at a game that could feel a little bit stifling.
It's interesting, well, Jules, because
Yeah, sorry, you picked a good one to come over for then.
Yeah, it's going to be nice.
You picked a good one to come over for then.
You might have to get used to it. On that low block thing, obviously, it was a long time ago now when we played Burnley. It was September. Obviously, it took a 95th minute penalty and a red card before that for Liverpool to get the win against Burnley. Obviously, Hannibal with the crazy decisions on Border and Salah scores. That was a long time ago. Burnley have frustrated a couple of teams since then. Man United recently, they frustrated twice. They only just beat them and then they drew with them and things like that. They give Arsenal a relatively tough one without, it was 2-0 and it was fine. Yeah. But most of their stuff there has been at home. Their away form has been dreadful. But if you're Scott Parker, can you say to them, if we do what we did at home against them, bar a crazy decision, we walk out of there with a point? Yeah. Do you think that's probably a game plan again tomorrow, thinking, same again, everyone keep your hands by your sides, please, lads, and we might be able to frustrate these even more?
Yeah, I think that's the sort of attitude you expect. They're not at the point now where it's, all or nothing. They're not at the point where we need points that badly, we just go and attack. Yep. And I don't think they've got the tools to do that, particularly anyway. I think it is going to be the irresistible force against the immovable object, and it's going to take key players on our side to unlock that, and hopefully this sort of current where Wirtz and Ekitike and the like seem to be clicking a bit now. Hopefully that sees us through, but I don't anticipate a goal first.
Well, on that case, I was looking. I always, and I do this quite often on these shows, is how are they going to score a goal? What's their plan on? Obviously, set pieces is always a thing against Liverpool, and you've always got to guard against that one. But actually, in terms of goal scorers, Dave mentioned before, Jayden Anthony's probably the best in terms of, I think he's got 5 Premier League goals. Fleming's similar with 5. They're not blessed with scoring talent. The strikers, I know Lyle Foster's had a little bit of time out and he's been away, but they're not blessed with lads who like. I was looking at Leeds with a Calvert-Lewin, or you're looking at like Brentford with Thiago, so someone who's going to, you think, he's a threat.
Consistently.
Burnley haven't really had that, and that's the thing for them. I wonder if you're Scott Parker thinking, we can go there and we can maybe be tight, but someone's got to try and score us a goal. I'd be shocked if Liverpool don't score. And looking around their team, it's difficult really, again, bar the set piece stuff that we've had issues with, to think he's the one we can rely on to get a goal from nothing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that what they're looking for is a moment, isn't it? They're probably going to sit in 5 at the back, 6 at the back, whatever, another line in front of them, probably one centre forward for most of the game. Soak up that pressure as much as they can, frustrate Liverpool to the point when they start to overcommit, and when they overcommit, it's how quickly they can break out, maybe get one on the counter-attack or in transition, something like that, or maybe get a corner, a free kick, load the box up, but then they're just going to go back into their shell. They're not going to give us opportunities. It is going to be a difficult game for Liverpool in that sense, but obviously we have the better players. We have the better players, and we have consistently sort of shown over the last few weeks that we are able to score goals. We're not scoring as many, but I do think it's a consequence of us not leaving gaps at the back. So in this one, we'll have the crowds. We know how important it is, and I think we'll just have to be patient. And as the gent said there, it is just going to be a bit of a slog, I think. But if we can break them down early, if we can get a couple of goals in the first half, they have to change their tactics. If it's 60 minutes and it's only 1-0 to Liverpool, they'll sit doing the same thing, and they'll change on 70 or 80 minutes and try and get that point that way. So it's understanding the game state from Liverpool, showing that patience, and ultimately trying to break them down quickly.
It's interesting, Dave. I don't know if you saw or heard Arne Slot's comments recently, and it was about all his video analysis that he does on all these opposition teams, and then most of the time that gets thrown out the window because everyone changes. I think he mentioned there's been a couple of teams recently who have played exactly how he thought they were going to play.
I think Arsenal, right? Did you say?
Very few teams have done anything the same really, and the ones that I've actually Liverpool beat, I think Real Madrid, Aston Villa, a few of them. I'm just not sure Burnley have got that in them. I'm not sure what that wild card could be. They're not all of a sudden going to be this free-flowing football team, I know. So I was trying to think, Liverpool are probably roughly got a rough idea what they're going to get out of Burnley on the Saturday. There's probably not going to be too many surprises there.
Yeah, and I think Tressor's out too for Burnley, and I think that he's a creative player, and I think that's going to be a problem for them. I think at the end of the day, what Parker's probably holding on to is he's seen us get frustrated, and I think he's seen, and I'm sure we're going to come on to like the current state of Liverpool and things like that, but I'm sure he's seen how we do get frustrated and a little scared and on our heels, and I think that's a byproduct of the fact that we have a lot of players that still have not quite yet learned how to work together on certain aspects, certain parts of the pitch, particularly on the press and in the midfield. And when we have that little bit of vulnerability, teams like to pounce on it. They like to pounce on it with the counter, and they like to try to come in and sort of dominate the midfield and get physical. We've seen that too a lot. That's what clubs opt to do when they're trying to at least secure a point. So I can see Parker kind of going to that and maybe changing that a little bit and getting a little edgier in the second half if it's a 1-0 game and it feels a little nervy. But otherwise, they don't really possess the tools or the capacity to do much more. And I do think, they will be desperate for points, but I also think, reality can set in very quick with our club if you're playing at Anfield, and if we do get a couple goals up, it's also a thing where, you might hang your head a little bit and go, well, we're just going to try to, do this and then get on the bus and go home as best we can.
I agree, because after us, Jules, they play Spurs at home, which is definitely a winnable game. Spurs are very up and down, especially away from home. Then they go to Sunderland, tough, and then they got West Ham at home. So it's, I said before, you need points, but actually, if you can get 2 or 3 up on them, and they can already start thinking, you know what, this one's done. Yeah. We don't need to come back. We'll save our legs for Tottenham and maybe Sunderland, and then definitely West Ham at home, because they're probably 2 games they're going to have to win to have any stake to it. Newcastle did this to them, albeit it was a different. Newcastle went 2 up very, very early, and all of a sudden, the game's done. Yeah. Whereas Man United let them hang around a couple of times, recently, and it was 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, and give them a little bit of hope. It feels like Liverpool, and we always say this, but if you can get this done relatively early, you can almost kick the fight out of them. You know what I mean? Where at this moment in time, teams don't really give up against us, because I think everyone realises there's vulnerabilities, but there's also a bit of a logic in thinking, you can live to fight another day. So ideally, a quick start and get this one done early.
Yeah, I think most teams now think a 1-0 is not irrecoverable. Even at Anfield. Yeah. They are
same as me, by the way. I'm like that at times. You know what I mean? I think I'm scared of 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, they are missing Fleming, and they might be missing Worrell as well. So I think he's late fitness job, and Fleming's not due back till the game after. And if I'm thinking about playing Sunderland in the next 2 weeks, all their players are back from AFCON, all buoyed up for their, with their international sort of fun and games. So Spurs,
and they're looking at that West Ham game as well.
Yeah.
Thinking, I mean, they have to win that one.
Spurs at home, West Ham at home in a week is massive.
Spurs is a coin flip, innit? It's which Spurs turns up. Who knows? Conor Gallagher may be the saviour they're looking for, but
a good signing that.
I think he's a decent player.
I think it's going to be a really good signing.
He's a good player. It'll be interesting to see how Scotty Parker gets his team going. Right then, it's time to watch Liverpool. But first, we're going to go to a quick break. We haven't spoke about our app enough. If anything, it hasn't been mentioned enough on various platforms, social media.
It's amazing. It's different.
So
it's got everything.
So what we're going to do, we're going to go to an advert about the app, and then we'll be back to what Liverpool.
Right, guys, thank you so much for watching the Redmen Originals podcast this week. See you soon.
Great show, everybody. Before we go anywhere, though, Steve.
Yeah.
Can you do me a massive favour, please?
Anything for you, Chris.
Thank you so much. We've got the app coming, as you know.
Yep.
Everybody knows this. It's huge. We need a huge promotional video to tell the world about it. Is that okay?
Want me to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. I'm the creative one. Yeah.
That's right.
ChatGPT, I love you, get in. It starts from black to a dynamic shot of Anfield Stadium. The flags are waving. There's a guys, I've got it sorted. Genius. I've been working for hours and hours for hours. No help whatsoever from anyone. And I've got the perfect advert. It starts from black to a dynamic shot of the city of Liverpool, then to the stadium with the crowd, the red flags all waving, and then the voiceover, brackets, energetic, close brackets. This is where passion lives. Then a quick cut to a host smashing out a segment. Like you, Paul, you can do this. You could be saying podcast recording, mic, video playbacks on your phone, where every moment, every match, every insight than the tagline, perfect taglines. You hear the tagline, advertising says taglines, every episode, every podcast, all in one place. The perfect app for all Liverpool fans. Download now. Then the end screen appears with badges, music hits, a massive crescendo. Done. So what do you think?
Should we just promote it on the show?
Yeah, let's do that. Much better idea.
Right then, download the Redmen Plus app. It is on the Google Play Store. It is on the Apple App Store. Every episode, every podcast, all in one place. The perfect app for Liverpool fans is out right now. Get it.
There you go, there's the app we never talk about. Go and download it. Now, really appreciate those who have already. Right then, guys, let's talk about Liverpool. Team news-wise, the manager said today, Chris, obviously, other than the long-term injuries in Leone, Isak and Bradley, and of course, Mohamed Salah still being away on AFCON duty, he's got the rest of his squad available to him, which is a rarity. You know, there's a few players back fit.
Did he name check Endo in that? Or?
He's back, yeah. Endo he was on the bench the other day as well, so he's available. So it's everyone except those three, really. I know there was some rumours about Joe Gomez, apparently that they were unfounded, so he's around as well. So the manager's actually got more options than usual to talk and to pick from. He has got Marseille midweek, which is worth mentioning as well. So that'll play in this one as well. But team news-wise then, if we try and pick a Liverpool team, again, the right-back situation is the one that's interesting for me, because he is going to have to, at some point, use Joe Gomez. It can't just always be Jeremy Frimpong. However, there's also a case, Chris, for, I know we don't really particularly like it, but the midfielder at right-back thing against Burnley. You know, if you're going to, what we think is going to be a low block, there might be value in saying, actually, we can get another attacking-minded player on the pitch. Now, that could be Frimpong playing there, but it also could be a Szoboszlai or a Jones. It'll be interesting what he does there. What do you think? How do you think that one's going to go?
Yeah, it's really interesting, because I think this dynamic and this conversation actually change in a couple of weeks' time or a week's time when Salah comes back, doesn't it? Because but right now, at this moment in time, with having no Mo, I think you do. I personally would probably play Frimpong on the right-hand side and drop Szoboszlai a little bit deeper. What I did like, and I've said this on a couple of shows from the game against Barnsley on Monday night, was Szoboszlai being deeper allowed us a big switch quickly. You know, he was playing centre midfield, but it allowed us to open that up, whereas you could have it the other way around. You could almost replicate Trent Alexander-Arnold, switch from the right to the left-hand side with Szoboszlai. I don't think he's the long-term solution at right-back. I think he's too good a midfielder to be considering him moving forwards while Bradley is out at right-back. I really do. He's too integral to everything else that we do. But for this one-off game, while Mo isn't here, I would absolutely play Szoboszlai and play Frimpong up there, because that breakneck speed that he's got to get in behind a low block is exactly what Liverpool need. And that spreads them and drags them wide a little bit more. And that's your jab for the roundhouse punch from Vert over on that left-hand side, or slightly more to that left-hand side, to open up just a little bit of space. Just because you've got Frimpong, on the right-hand side, chalk on his boots, trying to get to the byline, can it open up space somewhere else? So for me, that's how I would attack them this game.
So you go Sobot right back and Frimpong in front of
Ahead of him,
with the pace. And I get it, because against low blocks, I think Frimpong's pace is something that could definitely be a factor for sure.
He's still going to get there, and he's still going to whip balls into the box for hopefully Ekitike to get on the end of Szoboszlai, and those sort of deeper crosses maybe. So it works, the dynamic works. Equally, I could see a world where you just flip that and you just show Frimpong all day, you're going, Sobo when he goes past you, you're running back and covering right back for him.
Yeah, basically.
It actually, the dynamic between those two, it's quite a good sort of skill set between the two of them.
No, it can make sense. Like, I think Frimpong's a must have to be on the pitch for me. I was going to say, it's just where he plays. You're going to need his pace. Speaking of right backs, we chat here from the Invader, nice 1978, says, was Slot wrong to publicly say that he has better options than Calvin Ramsey? He said that in his presser today. So he basically said, Calvin's got a choice, but I've still got other options ahead of him. My opinion, if you'd ask me, is no, because I think it's obvious. Because he has. He also mentioned, Jules, he said, Ramsey, he had a long-term injury, he's been back playing for the under-21s, but there will be an opportunity for him. But I don't think it's out of order, because anyone with a brain can see that he's going to pick Frimpong and Gomez and maybe Szoboszlai before he picks young Calvin Ramsey. I don't think it's disrespectful. I think sometimes Slot is, and this might be a bit of a Dutch trait sometimes, he's just matter of fact. Yeah. He's not sugarcoating it. He's going to tell you, well, why would I pick Calvin Ramsey when I can pick Frimpong, Gomez, Szoboszlai? I didn't read too much into it anyway.
He's not wrong. But I think the Gomez thing is because he's the centre-back cover, he's going to be on the bench. Because he has to be on the bench. Because if one of them gets crocked, he goes into any of those 4 defensive slots for you. So there's no Gomez, which brings you on to the Calvin Ramsey question. If you were going to pick a game where you could play Calvin Ramsey, this is probably it. But
if you're worried about, you're talking about, because you're talking, Joe, sorry, about like saving legs for future games. You're not going to use him in Marseille away, are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Chris said, when Mo's back, Calvin may as well pack his bags and go on holiday.
Well,
you know what I mean? But because you've got Frimpong or Sobo or Jones or whatever. But like you said, the press conference this morning, it made it fairly obvious that Calvin Ramsey's not even in his thoughts, really. So I think you're spot on, Chris. I think Sobo plays that position maybe slightly more advanced than maybe put Robbo on the other side, and then you play sort of a back 3.5 because you're not suffering great attacking threat from Burnley, are you? So
I was about to say that one. That was my next question, actually. And Jules has teed up nice, Dave. Is the left back situation again? If you're looking at games to come, so Liverpool go to Marseille, then they go to Bournemouth. Is this another Andy Robertson game where you think, you're not going to be asking somebody to bomb up and down the line, which that's at the moment isn't in Robbo's game. He's a little bit older and things. I know the contact situations on rumbling. There might be a logic to say, I know he played on Monday, but he goes again here because then you can go to Kirkes, Marseille, Bournemouth, and then maybe Karabag at home, which might be a must-win, depending when we get there, become his game. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Robertson at left-back either.
Yeah, this is a place where I've taken a little bit of contention with Slot's planning for the season, actually. I've been mostly a supporter of what he's done so far and give him a lot of room to breathe on what's currently happening and everything. But I would have changed the strategy, I think, a little bit on Kirkes and Robertson. And I would have had Kirkes starting more of your cup games and things like that, and Robbo playing in the league to try to secure 4th and maybe try to defend the title, which I always felt was a little bit out of reach, to be honest. But I don't know where I am on this because I thought about it a little bit, and Marseille is going to be a tough game. I think people have to realize that going to the Orange is a tough place to play. They are in a good bit of form. He who shall not be named scores a lot of goals for them. You're going to want to be defensively secure and physical in Marseille. And I almost feel like Kirkes would be a good fit for that. And Robbo would be probably in a better spot for Burnley. And I think he could help probably break. Because the one place I've been critical of Kirkes, although he had a fantastic defensive game against Arsenal, really well, he's still not, I don't think going forward, he hasn't learned yet how to play with our forwards. And so I think a lot of the under and overlaps are not really consistent. And I think that a lot of the criticism Yakpo's getting, for instance, I think actually stems from Kirkes and him not really knowing how to play together very well yet. So this is a long way of saying I'm not sure, but I do think Robbo's ability to attack the box with crosses will be helpful in unlocking the low block. But I also think you might want his leadership in Marseille, a Champions League away game that you need to win, and that is going to be really tough. So I'll back the manager, whatever he decides to do. I think both options could make sense. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
It's interesting, Chris, because in your head you think you want defensively solid Andy Robertson, and you want someone who gets forward and gets a more attacking option. And
it's not quite worked out.
That's how you'd have thought in the summer. You think, well, Kirkes is that's what he does for Bournemouth. He bombs on, he crosses, he scores. It's actually flip reversed. It almost feels like if Kirkes has almost become the more secure defender.
He's got a pair of hands, right?
He's a little bit. He's got a bit more pace, and Robertson's really struggled a little bit against pace. And actually, in the final third, Robbo looks far more dangerous. I think that underlap and run, he gets into the box and stuff. So it has almost reversed. And against a low block, it almost feels like go back to Andy Robbo. He's been here, done this before. It's almost a strange dichotomy of what you'd expected to what's being presented in front of us.
Yeah, I the way I look at it, I take a sort of step back and go, Liverpool should be beating Burnley. Yeah. Whether Kirkes or Robbo's on the field, I don't think either of them are going to make too much of a decisive impact in the general outcome of the game.
Sure.
This is my thinking as well.
Whereas I'm looking at Marseille, and I'm exactly with David, I want that leadership of Andy Robertson in there. I also don't really like the idea of Kirkes sitting out for a week and a half before he plays a big game in Marseille. When was the last game? It was Thursday, wasn't it, against Arsenal that Kirkes last played. Misses out Monday night, misses out the weekend, let's say. It's near 2 weeks until he plays again in a Champions League game that you need to win. That's too long for me. So for me, the simplest option to keep them both fit and available is Kirkes comes in for this game, Robbo comes in for Karabag, Kirkes comes back in for Bournemouth, and you do it like that, and you say, lads, yeah, maybe the best option was Robbo because of his attacking pace. But we've got enough quality on the pitch to beat these without a left back securing the points.
I think the other positive to it too is if we're looking at Kirkes getting better at playing within the club and in the squad and going forward, Burnley's a great opponent for him to prove that, to work on that, and to try to learn how to play vets when he comes to the left, and whoever we put on the left, try to learn better how to play with them. Ekitike will be back. I assume he'll be starting, and it gives him a chance to put balls into the box, kind of find out how things are going. Because this is the place where I think he's fallen down a little bit for us, or maybe been below expectations. Is much more going forward than it is anything else. So.
No, I would completely agree. I would agree with that.
100%.
Midfield be interesting. So it depends again. It goes back to, does he pick all of them, Chris? And we mentioned Chris Szoboszlai maybe can play right or whatever, but Ekitike, let's put him in. Ekitike is going to be up front.
Yeah, has to be.
So the manager's now got to decide. He's got Jones, Gravenberch, McAllister, Wirtz. Do you just pick all four of them, and maybe Wirtz does something a bit leftish, and maybe Gakpo isn't in the team, because or do you go actually play three of them, leave one on the bench, and put Gakpo out on the left? How would you go about it?
Well, this is the question, isn't it? This is the difficult one to sort of line up. I think. For me, I'd like to see Curtis Jones back in that sort of deeper position alongside Ryan Gravenberch, and then the other spots are up for grabs. Personally, I think we should be getting Wirtz into the centre of the pitch because I do see that as his long-term future. I just see every week that goes by where he doesn't play there is wasted experience for the team, for those relationships being built on each week. We're not going to win the league. You know, I think we can still finish fourth. If we just played Wirtz in the 10 for the rest of the season, but he'll be better for it. You know, you can see the team are all sort of leaning into him now. The ball's going into his feet a lot more. He comes on the pitch the other night and everything's fed through Florian Wirtz. And, you know, for me, Gakpo's still a good player out on the left-hand side. He's a frustrating player. I get that. I get as frustrated as everybody. But my word, he knows what to do. You need to give him time to build that relationship with Kerkez as well. You know, in the way that I think sometimes we look back at these sorts of things and rewrite history a little bit. Nobody was having these conversations last season about Gakpo and Robertson.
Nope.
So it's not something that Gakpo exclusively has done throughout his entire Liverpool career, but it is a relationship issue, I think, with Kerkez at the moment. So they've got to play together as well.
Not just with Kerkez, but also with Wirtz. I mean, Gakpo has to learn his style of play of getting into the box, how he moves the ball, the quickness of his feet, you know, the things he does to produce. You know, I think there's been a lot of unfair criticism for Cody, and I think part of it is he's essentially got three new people playing around him. He has Wirtz playing kind of, if he's playing in the 10, kind of behind him and off to the left a little bit, right?
You could say four. You could say four because the centre forward.
100. That's what I was going to say. Is actually you could say four, and so Cody has had to learn how to deal with all those things, and he's also, you know, we don't have Lucho anymore. So now the man is Cody, you know, essentially to start the season on the left, and he has to take that responsibility in that role. And this club's been through a lot.
Yeah, you know? And Curtis Jones obviously playing more games. The left back changed as well.
Yep.
There's the four players, isn't it? But
then the striker thing with, you know, injuries and what, he's had to slot into the middle. He's, you know, you got to give him some grace on that. And if one man is confident about Cody Gakpo, it's Arne Slot.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely
He's the guy that picks him every week. So I don't see anybody else starting in that left position.
All I've noticed against low blocks recently is that Liverpool try and get Wirtz in space. Yeah. And the space is probably going to be wide. So it's whether you start him wide or you ask him to just drift over there. But then if he's drifting over there, there probably isn't space because he's probably standing where Cody Gakpo's standing. So I would edge to actually putting Wirtz on the left, and I would play...
Well, like a Maka or
McAllister will be in the team as well. But I see both arguments. I think it's all valid. And yeah, it depends. Whoever plays on the left can embarrass Kyle Walker in front of his families.
See, that's where I'm probably thinking a bit too 4D chessy here. But I was thinking with my Robertson thing that then they drop into a 3. Sobo does the Trent thing into midfield. That allows you to play Sobo, Gravenberch, Wirtz
as a box,
as like a sort of almost box 4, yeah. And then you've got the rest of the guys up front and knocking in the net.
For all of this, if I'm the manager, I'm speaking in front of the players. You're better than these. Beat them. It doesn't matter which 11 I pick.
Yeah.
Go out there. They're Burnley Football Club. They're absolutely crap. It's Anfield. Go and just beat them for me.
Should be able to say, there you go, boys. Go on there, beat them.
I might give consideration to resting Maka though. I might put McAllister on the bench only because I think Marseille is going to be again a tough game. Their midfield is small but physical. And I think you're going to want again a leadership, and he's just got that in his locker, you know. And I think that's going to be something that's really needed on Wednesday.
Completely makes sense. What will help I'll stay with you, Dave, is Ekitike. Obviously, he had a little bit of a fitness issue in Liverpool. I maintain if he's fit for Arsenal, we win. He'd have scored a goal. I'm convinced we'd have created something. And again, there's only Barnes in midweek or on Monday, but the link up between him and Wirtz for both goals was really promising, and you hope that's something he can build on.
Did you see Michael Reed's stat on that? That's the first time in our history that 2 subs have come on and assisted each other.
They've scored and assisted for each other, which is a fitting one. I saw that he broke the record. He's equal Kenny's record of scoring in all the different competitions so far.
5 competitions.
5 competitions in
the Community Shield, yeah.
Which is fantastic. It feels like at this moment in time, Dave, he's in really good form. Hopefully the injury hasn't derailed it too much. Again, it's hard to take too much out of Barnsley with all due respect. Burnley will be a more difficult challenge in that one, but you know, for having a proper number 9 goal scorer, which is now what Liverpool have got, these are the type of games where you need those type of lads. A ball bouncing or someone who can finish what people create for him, but also he can do something on his own. We've seen that from him as well. I think it's going to be another massive game for Ekitike. Hopefully he's got 90 minutes in his legs, but if he hasn't, you've got to get the best out of him, because he's the golden ticket at the moment for Liverpool winning games. Yeah,
I mean, without him, you know, I don't think, you know, if God forbid he goes down to a long-term injury, we're in real trouble keeping 4th, I think, at that point, because the goals are, you know, I know what Slot's trying to do and create more weapons all over the pitch, but, you know, we have a number 9 that's a real number 9, and we've got 2 of them really with Isak, but, you know, until he's back, which, you know, could be late this year, it could just not be till next year, we don't know. You know, Hugo's the man, and I think what I like, and you said it, he's shown a lot of versatility, right? So he's shown the ability to drop deep, get the ball, and play kind of almost a ticky-tacky game with Wirtz last week, or Barnsley, or against Barnsley. And then, you know, in other games, he's demonstrated that ability to really come deep, get the ball, and start to create things going forward. But he's a finisher. He's just a finisher. The guy can finish. You know, how many times have we been frustrated with balls getting into the box and not getting on the right end of Konate's head or somebody? And you know, he's shown he can do all these things. He's got every tool. And you know, I'm a big fan of his. I was really happy when we signed him. I know some supporters were like, well, "That's a lot of money for this guy," but I'd watched him play quite a bit for Frankfurt, and yeah, I'm a big fan, and I agree with you, Steve. I think if he's in the lineup for Arsenal, I think that's a win. That's a win for us. I think that's 3 points. So yeah.
He's got that thing, Jules, and again, it's really maybe sometimes lazy analysis, and I don't really know how to explain it. Like, he just scores goals, and I'm adamant that you just can't teach that. When someone's in front of a goal, they just do the right thing, and more often than not, he just kicks in the goal, and he finds the best way of doing it. And some guys just haven't got that, and that's what takes the good from the great or whatever. And again, early doors, and if you'd asked me what I expected of him this year, I'd have expected maybe Isak to do this, and maybe Ekitike to take a bit more time to acclimatise and stuff, but he's got it, whatever it is, and there are games, and again, against low blocks at home, where you think it's going to be difficult, they're the type of guys who are absolute money.
He's one of them instinctive strikers. He's one of the guys that every time the ball comes off his foot, you think it's going in. The people that he reminds me of, Fowler. He was like that. Wherever he got the ball in the box, it was going in. Kane, to a certain extent, is the same. That ball drops to him 9 times out of 10, it's going in, and it's just you can't teach it. I think it's something you learn when you're this high, you know, and it's just that repetitive ball after ball after ball after ball, and it just sits in there, muscle memory, and I love him. I think absolutely love him.
And the crowd loves him as well. And he's the crowd are bang into him as well.
He's got that personality vibe like Fowler had, and like you know, those kind of players.
I think he's enjoying life. He's enjoying his football. He's enjoying it. I love the Kane, you know, mention there, because I think that's the player that he should look up to. To be honest with you, because the way that Kane and Shearer had this as well in the 90s. He doesn't fart around. There's economy of motion in his movement. And Ekitike's still young and still raw. And with coaching, I think he'll sack off the more extravagant finishes from time to time and just decide to hit it dead straight and dead hard into the net. And that's something that Kane's always had when he's come through. Ekitike's still looking to try and almost at times embarrass the opposition. You know, there's a little bit of showboating in there with like a flick or something like that, and that's great because it's that.
It's part
of who he is, and you don't want it to completely go. But actually, when I think it clicks and it slows down the game for him in England, I think he'll find another level to go to, and that's why you talk about the strikers being raw, because you can see where they can go to if they just take it a little bit more in that route.
I think he surprised the club because I think they thought he was the after Isak, that come and learn from Isak, and it turns out that he's a bit too ready.
He's for now and later.
Yeah, and later.
The one thing I like is that he's confident and decisive, right? Like he knows wherever he is on the pitch, he knows what he's going to do. It's either completely instinctual, which is what you like to think a striker does, or he's got in his head an idea of like, I've picked up the ball here outside the box, and I'm gonna look for this and do this, and he's looking like a bargain, like a real bargain in terms of what what he was bought for.
Yeah,
I mean, it's incredible. I love him, and I hope he's able to go the rest of the season without too much fuss, because he's going to be key, integral to everything.
Yeah, he's due a hat-trick as well.
He's definitely key for the weekend. Yeah. I go back to the point about Julian. I echo that. Like, he's got the personality of a Liverpool centre forward. It's just different. Like, you've got to just have that bit of swag.
Torres, something like that.
You've got to got that.
You see him engage the crowd, touch the badge, do the things. Yeah, it's great. I love him.
The personality is definitely there for him. I'll get predictions stuff towards the end, guys. Just a quick look around the Premier League before we do. In terms of around Liverpool, I suppose, Chris, this top 4, top 5 battle, whatever we want to call it.
We're looking at Brentford.
Well, they're playing Chelsea, so yeah.
Wow.
But you've also got United City in the derby on so
why didn't they just appoint Carrick after that?
Yeah, right.
That's when they play Arsenal.
Oh, well, after that, they could have just left Fletcher in charge. Just let him out, hung him out to dry for a little bit longer. What do they gain by putting Carrick in for City and then Arsenal?
I think maybe just
stupid.
Maybe the crowd give him a lift. It's interesting because this kind of the point, though, Chris. The teams around us in this race, and I say race, it's a bit of a shambles at the moment, whatever this is, but like they've all got relatively tough games. So again, if United are definitely still in it until they're not. They're playing Manchester City. Chelsea are playing Brentford. One of those two at least are going to drop points. You look around, Sunderland have got Palace, which is the easiest of games. It feels, Newcastle are going to Wolves. You'd probably expect them to win, although Wolves are much better now than they were maybe a month or so ago.
I'm still shocked that Newcastle and Brentford are in the mix because they weren't supposed to be, and they weren't, and now they are. I'm shocked that we're in 4th after the form that we've been in.
That is the Premier League, and this is the point. Like, our game, we have to beat Burnley, because elsewhere, like United probably going to drop points. You would expect one of Chelsea and Brentford. I don't think it's going to be particularly easy for Newcastle to go to Wolves on the back of the semi-final game they've had in midweek, and again, Wolves are a bit better than what they have been. They've shown that.
Flying.
Aston Villa host Everton. You'd expect probably Villa to win that one, but it's vitally important Liverpool get this win, because those teams around us, they're not all going to win, obviously, and the sooner you can get that gap from 5th, just stretch like 6-7 points, and the 5th is probably going to get a Champions League anyway, but it's vital for Liverpool that they just ease the pressure on themselves here, because if they are going to go on a run, hopefully in the FA Cup or maybe in the Champions League, the last thing you want is to be looking over your shoulder for 4th place as well. You need to get that gap, and this weekend's a massive opportunity for them.
It is, and it also, from my point of view, I think is it 9? The last 9 we've won 4 and drawn 5, but in particular, I know Arsenal's in there. We've drawn our last 3 games. Yeah. Like, drawing 3 and losing 1 looks fucking terrible. No matter how you cut it, how many games back you go and all that type of stuff. Even if we were to draw another game now, winning 4 and drawing 6 of 10 games, that's not good enough for Liverpool Football Club. No. That's all the thing that you need going into this game. Irrelevant, and it's not irrelevant, but irrelevant of who other teams are playing right now. It is about Liverpool. Liverpool do our job. We'll get into the Champions League this season, because we should be better than Brentford. We should be better than Newcastle. We are better than Manchester United, Chelsea. So go out there and prove it each game week. It's a new opportunity to keep proving it. I'm fighting for your place in the squad. I'm fighting for your manager as well, and this football club. Go and do it.
Yeah, like I say, it's a vital one. It's just Burnley at home has to be a win. It always has to be a win. There's very few cases where that won't ever be the case, and again,
the manager will be under duress if he draws against Burnley at home, because you can't draw 4 games in the Premier League after the start of the season we've had. You just can't.
Yeah, you're right. It feels like that. Absolutely, they have to win this one. Do you think they will? Predictions wise,
they will. Yeah.
Convincing?
No, I'm not. No, sorry. I've sat in Anfield too many times this season and experienced it. I think, look, you always base your predictions on the past, and the past is suggesting a tough game. I'd like to hope I'm wrong. I more than anything, now for these two, more than anything, I hope that it's an absolute goal fest. But it has been tough sledding at Anfield recently, and I expect it to continue, unfortunately. Because
I've never seen a losing game at Anfield every game I've been to, so just know that. Yeah.
1-1.
As long as it's not a 0-0.
Yeah,
right. It was a goal.
George, I can win.
I think so, yeah. I think it might go slightly along the Barnsley lines. I think it might go tough first half. I mean, it all depends how we play, but it's a tough first half. Maybe get one up. Obviously, Dom, don't do that again. And then, yeah, towards the end, they'll tire, because teams that play like that tire towards the end, because it's just inevitable. And then, I don't know, maybe bang a couple in at the end. Get Hugo his hat trick.
And there you go. What I would like to see in this one is, I would like to see Liverpool attack it. And I mean, you know, when we've done this sort of slow, steady possession, and we've built up through the phases, I feel almost like we're waiting for the opposition to make a mistake before we really sort of do anything. So I get it. Man City have done this for years. They have possession, safe possession, and they're resting in possession. And then all of a sudden, someone won't be in the correct position as you've moved the ball along the back line, and you'll be able to attack it, and you're waiting for a mistake. I'd like Liverpool to go a little bit more front-footed, whereas we're not just waiting for a mistake from the opposition or poor position. And I think Frimpong gives us that. Frimpong gives us that ability to just go past the man without them having to make a positional mistake to get in behind, and then sort of really attack from there.
When you look at our good performances this season, that's what we've done. We've started quick. We've come out in, say, fourth gear, and then got 2 up. We can drop back to third. And then if we need to at the end, we push forward. But this sort of like these reached the losing run, obviously, and then these draws we've had recently have all been where we've started this slow, methodical, you know, which was great when we played under Klopp, because it was slow, methodical, bang.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just build up, and it's the last 10 minutes every time. Though one stat I did see is that I think we and Burnley are the top 2 teams for scoring goals after the 80th minute.
85th minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's massive queues outside Anfield, don't worry, you're not missing a fucking goal.
So don't leave early.
Yeah, it's going to be there for a while. I think we'll win, and I think relatively straightforward.
Yeah. Okay, I hope you.
But I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be the most exciting of games. I think Liverpool will eventually be able to win.
That's a good word. It's going to be a safe win, but not a comfortable win.
Yeah, it's just going to be one of those games that you just get through, and 2 or 3-0, and jobs are good. And fingers crossed, and no one gets injured, and we can all move on to Marseille.
Say it, didn't you?
That's where we're at anyway. Guys, thanks so much for coming in. Much appreciated. Hope you've enjoyed the first time on the show. Chris, as always, been an absolute pleasure. Thanks all you guys for watching or listening to the Uncensored match build-up on the app. And if you're not listening on the app, go and download the app. We're going to keep talking about the app that we never talk about. We'll be back with a watch-along at the weekend as well. Me and Errol, it's been a while actually for me and Errol. We've been
Dream team.
We've been on different lanes for a while in different parts of the world, but we're back together. The dream team's back together. 1:40. We'll go live on the YouTube channel or on the app that we never talk about. So do come and join us for that one, and catch us all next time. Cheers a bit.